Hey guys, my name is Jared, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about forest fires and also implementing thermal imaging devices, specifically hands-free thermal imaging devices, into the fire department. So, in the recent past year, California was ranked number one out of 10 states that had the most forest fires. And not only that, but it was also along the lines of rankings of the most casualties due to forest fires. And out of those casualties were not only civilians but also first responders. And out of those first responders were mainly firefighters. And I should say the guilty party at hand was not only due to the cause of the fire, but it was also their failure in equipment. And I could go on saying that there are different ways as to how um, specific equipments can result in their deaths, but I'm going to go specifically with the one that affects the performance the most, and that is their face piece lens, I should say, which is kind of the shielded the shield part of kind of their helmet, I should say. And once a person's sight is gone, and just whether fireman or not, once a person's sight is gone, it's it takes a lot to adjust, and all chaos could have gone loose by the time being. Been then, but I also included some videos here for you guys to check out. This one here briefly summarizes the wildfires that happened in 2020 in California, and gives kind of an update on how um, if we are to expect any during this year, and if we are, how to prepare for them and what to do in that kind of situation. So thermal degradation. Thermal degradation happens when something when at a certain point of high temperatures, um, something will deteriorate. And why I'm bringing up this topic is specifically because in the fire department, firefighters go into many high temperatured places, and their self-contained breathing apparatus, or I should say SCBA facepiece lenses, and like I was mentioning earlier, they're like the shield part. I can actually show you. This is kind of what they look like. Of course, it's not as broken and melted and deteriorated as this, but this is essentially what they look like. Um, those type of equipments deteriorate due to thermal degradation whenever firefighters are in the line of duty and they are in a constant environment with high temperatures for such a long time, and it can result in factors such as bubbling or crazing and cracking. And for those who may not know what that is, that's also what happens to glass whenever they reach a high temperature. Um, Whenever it'll result in the glass to essentially just start cracking and then eventually for it to break. And that's kind of seen over here on the right with these four images. So there was a recent study from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, conducted in a small town in Chicago, where they discovered and they conducted experiments, I should say, of placing firefighters with these equipment into very high temperature environments. And they concluded that once there was a certain temperature reached, which is probably the highest, I should say, the lenses started to bubble, and once that happens, then they lose their visual acuity. So till this day, not only were these researchers, but also till this day, people are still trying to figure out what could be the exposure limit just before thermodegradation, because it's essential and vital for firefighters to know that they can put themselves out there in the line of duty while also knowing that their safety is somewhat a little bit better than what it was before. So why is this a problem? This is a problem because disasters are unpredictable, and of course, our safety equipment, firefighter safety equipment, or any safety equipment in general, needs to be um, looked in order for our firemen to do their best. And I want to include that there are, every generation passes by, there's of course, better improvement in technology and equipment. And out of those equipment, there is um, something that is starting to be used in the fire department, and that is thermal imaging. Now, thermal imaging is like using EMS or any of those kind of type of things that allow you a person to see um, the heat inside a specific area of the house. It allows them to know whether if this side is the hottest part of the area, or if they can actually see a person that's still in there, even though it's less likely depending if that temperature in the household or the environment is higher than that person's body heat. But thermal imaging has indeed improved, and I wanted to include this chart showing the market size of the usage of thermal imaging. So not only was I mentioning that thermal imaging was a big factor that is now being used in the workforce, but this is a product I wanted to deeply discuss about because it's what inspired me to cover this topic actually, and that is the Scott Sight in-mask thermal imaging face piece. So essentially, normally, thermal imaging devices require a firefighter to use one hand in exchange of its service. Now, a lot of people might be thinking that that's not really a big deal, but in fact, it's actually is a big deal because in a case where a firefighter may need to help, pull somebody or help with the wood or whatever, it's better for them to use both of their hands in any situation. So when I heard of this product where they use hands-free thermal imaging, where they mounted the camera, the thermal imaging camera, to the side of the mask, it allows for firefighters to have both of their hands available for any means necessary. So I included both of these two videos here. This video on the left allows you to see the performance of the product and how it can give better accuracy for firefighters and how it can help them perform better. And I also provide this one on the right where it shows greater detail the kind of material and equipment that is on the product. And I wish I could show you guys the videos, but of course, you will be able to see them on yourselves. But I would like you guys to hear the audio with it as well because on my recorder right now, it's the audio on the videos is heard poorly. So I'd rather you guys be able to not only look at what the video is discussing about, but also um hear what it's also talking about too. So I highly encourage you guys to check out these two videos here. So if you guys have any questions, please leave a comment either on the YouTube video that this is going to be posted on, or either on Blackboard in the discussion board. But either way, I do want to thank you guys for taking the time to check out my video, and I hope that you learned something new today, and that eventually, we can start implementing hands-free thermal imaging devices in the fire department to save more lives, and not only to save more lives, but also further increase the safety of our first responders. So thank you.